Hi, welcome to the impromptu translation booth, today done by
Stefan
and Merle. We just jumped in because there was a shortage of people that actually signed up, so forgive us. This is going to be very spontaneous. Welcome to the 34th Chaos Communication Congress in Leipzig. We're going to have an introduction of his PhD thesis. It's WHWP, Walter Höllerer on Wikipedia. The theme of the 34th Congregation Congress really fits well with my lecture, with the thematics that are running through the German Wikipedia. Do something, tu wat. Very likely. Who wants to do something against fake news can support fake news and learns a lot about the way that knowledge is being spread. It's enough to consume Wikipedia, but to be honest, better is the active participation in it. And participate in making knowledge globally accessible. Walter Höllerer was a professor of German literature at the TU Berlin. In 1953, with Hans Bender, he brought out the literature review magazine Akzente. In 1961, he started making the magazine called Spritzsprache in the Digital Times. He was part of the member of the Group 47, which was a group of literates formed after the Third Reich, which Günter Grass was also part of. One of the meetings of this group happened in Princeton. Renate von Margold was the partner of Walter Höllerer's. She was the photographer of lots of the events and gatherings of the Group 47. Together, Walter Höllerer and Renate von Margold brought international artists to Berlin, like the Living Theater in 1963 with the piece The Brick, happening in Berlin's Art University. Also, the Literature Colloquium was founded by him. And in 1977, he founded the Literature Archive in Salzbach-Rosenberg in the Oberpfalz. Höllerer was a philolog that today is described by his friends the Höllerer method. I understand by the Höllerer method deconstructivism, taking apart, taking stuff to its pieces, and look at these pieces, no generalizations, no patterns that are being applied. Friedrich Knilly on the stairs to the house of Heinrich Mann. He was the founder of media studies at TU Berlin, and he's my PhD supervisor. In 1972, media studies started to be a subject at the TU, and Walter Höllerer was an integral part of that. It was about forming theories and practical addressing of media. And Walter Höllerer was brought out of that tradition. 2008, in Professor Knilly, I already wrote my diploma thesis on Feuchtwanger's Wikipedia. And Feuchtwanger already reported on Diderot and on the Encyclopedia. Encyclopedia is a gathering, a collection of knowledge, and it's a source of making global knowledge accessible. The third chapter of my dissertation gives a number of footnotes
Nicht alle waren
on
ausgezeichnet und nicht alle korrekt.
How
Sich wilde und äußerst persönliche Eskapaden.
So in this encyclopedia, there were a number of not so great articles that had personal anecdotes, and readers were surprised and not happy to find these kinds of encyclopedia.
darf jeder nach Anmeldung einen Blick in die originale Enzyklopädie.
At the Humboldt University, everybody can look at the original after registration,
Enzyklopädie
And-
kann es nach modrigen Berliner Kellern riechen.
and looking at the original, you can smell the smells from the cellars where it was stored.
Der Audiovortrag Privacy.
At 29C3 Here Be Dragons,
Enzyklopädie Project deals with sock
we had a talk,
brachte die Untersuchung zu WHWP richtig in die Gänge.
a talk kickstarted
Special Forces der Wikipedia
my work on WHWP,
Sockenpuppenspielern vorgehen.
and the sock puppet
Identitäten werden zu Manipulation.
sock puppet play explains how sock puppet accounts are used to manipulate Wikipedia articles,
auch ohne Adminzugang.
even without having admin access to Wikipedia.
Wikipedia benötigt 5 wesentliche Einzelmaschinen.
Wikipedia needs 5 main units to work.
Internet,
The internet
zweitens Media
needs power.
kooperatives Online-Schreibprogramm.
It does need the Wikipedia software,
Freiwillige Autoren,
the Creative Commons license,
Media von
and volunteer writers, and finally the foundation.
MediaWiki und DokuWiki im Rahmen von Open Media 44 war eine wichtige Voraussetzung für diese Untersuchung.
For this examination, the Open Media 44 was an important input,
SQL-Datenbanken verwalten.
and the technical groundwork.
Ausprobiert.
I learned about all the technical stuff like Wikipedia, like PHP and MySQL.
Was ist zu sehen? Welche Bereiche werden untersucht?
So what parts are we looking at?
Alles,
This is the typical Wikipedia window. Everything in red we're not going to look at.
Disclaimern und ähnlichem.
The left side menu, the footer.
Die Webadresse des Walter Höllerer Artikels.
So this is the URL in the German Wikipedia for the Walter Hollerer article. This is the current state of the article.
WHWP aufruft, trifft mittlerweile auf
If
einen Artikel, wie auch in anderen.
If you open that article now, you find an article that could be part of any large
Jetzt gehen wir kurz auf einen Film,
encyclopedia.
die was zeigen. Und
I'm
zwar,
going to show a video.
was ich nicht untersucht habe, ist
What I haven't looked at,
der verschiedenen Versionen der Texte, wie sich die
I have not looked at the various versions of
Beispiel
how the versions developed. Here's a short video,
von 2004.
an animation of the changes made
Einfach die
to this article
vergeben, wenn
from 2004 to today.
die nächste Version. Ich
And
will da
we-
jetzt nicht groß
We can see
eingehen.
how the versions get updated and
Tut sich dann über die Zeit.
what changes
Auf jeden Fall in einem Jahr. Haha, hier war Spam.
over the course of 1 year, and sometimes you can see the spam being inserted into the page.
Was auch erzählt werden kann, aber was ich
That
nicht
is
erzähle.
something that can be talked about, but I will not talk about that.
Zurück hier.
Let's go back.
So, und wo sind wir hier jetzt?
Where are we now?
So.
All right.
2010 hat der Londoner Künstler James
Two-
Bridle die
2010, James Bridle
Artikel, ups,
has looked at the changes in a single Wikipedia article,
hier gedruckt.
and he printed out
Wikipedia-Artikel
11 volumes of these changes.
2009 insgesamt 12.000
The Iraq War article
gedruckt sind.
has had 12,000 revisions over the course of a number of years.
In der Artikelmenüleiste für jeden Wikipedia-Artikel ist nur der Button Versionsgeschichte.
In the menu of every Wikipedia article, you can see the version history, Versionsgeschichte here in German,
Ausgewählte Version
and you can look at the various changes
zur nächsten führen.
between the versions.
Benannt. Damit soll sichergestellt werden, dass eindeutig bezeichnet ist, was
So-
untersucht wurde.
I'm calling these edits
Die Aktivitäten der Autoren, die
are the activities that
weiterentwickeln.
authors of Wikipedia have made.
Die alte Ansicht zum Vergleichen zweier Versionen.
This is the old view of changes made between versions. So the red one has been added to the article by the author of that version. So between 2013 and 2015, there were 113 changes. The first 10 changes, the third line from the bottom, shows the number, shows the time and date of the change have been made by an author identified by his IP address. So with the second change was made by author Inquisitiveness. In this new design, we can see two views of the changes, and I don't like the amount of information displayed here. As I was collecting data about the WHWP, the dates and times were not consistent. I believe that is due to daylight saving time. And there were a couple of problems with the applications. There is some confusion about the languages. And since the Wikipedia software is developed in English, the German translation creates some confusion. So in the German version, so in the older German version of the Wikipedia software, the German translation actually said versions and authors, which is more inclusive of the information being displayed.
Welche herkömmliche Redaktion einer Enzyklopädie einer Zeit
What common
lässt sich so wie Wikipedia beim Arbeiten über die Schulter gucken?
encyclopedia lets people watch over their shoulders, who actually publicizes the production logs and makes it public and transparent, who is part in this. Oh, different picture. This text, inclusively alongside 10 links, the author added in 2003 and entered as the first text in 2003. The same text is now here visible in the diff version online. Every edit has metadata, edit date, edit time, the simple changes, big changes, comments and things such as that. From the beginning on, I had a problem with the author that added these. They were a bit rough and tough. And month after research, I found that he stole from basically other articles that were published in the German newspaper Der Spiegel. And now let's look at the work itself, the thesis itself. I don't want to introduce this very long. It can be downloaded, but not now, but next year, so soon. So this is what it looks like, all the edits. Like they are going to be shown in the dissertation. Every edit has its own set of data, and obviously very interesting are the comments below. I'll get into that a bit later. I really don't want to introduce much. Like edit 43, there was like Nazi spam that a lot of times is not being noticed by users because it's being re-edited within a minute. Due to the time, I'm not going to go into this further, but who's interested can download it soon and read it up on that. So back to 2012, there was a big design change on Wikipedia. Since then, everything has a little bit of a tinted blue, and it looks a bit more modern, washed out. Some of these new changes were not for the better. The version difference is now a lot more hard to find. WHWP has grown by baby steps, with sometimes lengthy periods where there was no activity at all, sometimes a lot of edits over the course of a couple of months. In June 2010, all of a sudden we had a bit of a jump, and with one single edit 71, 2,664 words were added, and there was another jump in October, but there weren't really more than 15 edits per year. So a little sketch of Darwin's tree of life shows how biology evolves. Here, a typical example sketch of how database relation work. And here we can see the changes within that happen within a Wikipedia page. On the left, the version change, and on the right, the tree that actually shows the dynamics behind the changes and edits that are done. The history of edit is the joke of the work. Every edit was in relation to the date of author, and as much possible, we compared the edits of the authors of other edits that authors did and try to come out with patterns and understand patterns. So that generated qualitative material that really tells a story about the article, the Höllerer article. So we're going to go into the types of accounts that he's identified. So the 89 authors were enriched by whatever else the authors also edited to enrich their profiles. So the account types say a lot about the authors, but they don't really say anything about the actual activities. There's anonymity. There's accounts with anonymous accounts, and they really do a lot of work. So, for example, there's an anonymous author that used continuously the same IP address, so he really revealed more about himself than a lot of other people who use pseudonyms or real name accounts. So, looking into discussions and discussion boards, you can see a lot of patterns and repeated behavior. There's authors who have own websites. There's authors who have own pages about themselves. According to the edit number, I have an author profile in an own chapter from A to Z, summarized, and the connection between the key field to the edit table is the edit number, WHWP, in this case 84.189.61.50. He's edited twice, edit number 23 and 24. In searching and researching the author profiles, let's look at this one more time. We're going back into the thesis, and then we're going to move along. All right, where are we? Edits, where are we? I would love to just show the fast. Find the fast. Where is it? Oh, there we go. There it is. No, 10 minutes. Time. The authors. There we go. Here it is. Standard. It's called 0815. He gave himself this name, and he really, by that, positioned him right in front in the beginning of the chapter of the authors.
So
it's a very typical set of data. I don't want to go into this deeply due to time, but like all authors are listed with all 89 authors with what they did, the edits they did. There's a lot of data in here that were also generated from somewhere else on the web, but a lot of times it's their actual edits and their contributions to articles, and they say a lot about how the edit in WHWP is supposed to be understood. All right, so here we have the authors with the most edits in WHWP, but the number of edits doesn't really say anything about the quality of edits. Here we can see the authors with who entered the most characters on the WHWP, but also that is not saying anything and revealing about the quality. But the quantitative numbers is interesting to look for the qualitatively interesting edits to find. The most refined filter I pressed this data through was whose author contributed to the life section of the author, the biography section. Underneath there's a list of works and pieces and bibliography, and they also give information on of Hollerer, but with edit 71, the author Boster interferes with WHWP, so everything that's blue on the right side, you can see all of that is new. After his massive attack, WHWP is basically not recognizable anymore. In the section of biography, he alters the text to an extent that it seems like there's finally somebody that understands Hollerer. He adds a lot to the bibliography and the list of works. Before edit 71, a WHWP, you could read, even though his poems and novels, amongst them The Elephant Clock, were rather successful, his attention was more on the critics and publication and support of books. Besides the academic work that was published in his own poems, sorry, I couldn't quickly translate what the quote was reading. So 89 authors over the course of 12 years created what is now the articles. The article on Hollerer. Thank you so much to all the authors who contributed to WHWP and who made the fundamentals of my work possible. Applause for the authors.
How does quality get created in Wikipedia? The majority of the contributors to WHWP have made only a single edit, and this supports the thesis of the many eyes principle, and that most of the contributors were actually readers of the article.
Von WHWP veranlasst worden. Es war etwas falsch, es hat etwas gefehlt, es wurde
So something was wrong, something was missing, so that were typical edits. No, only a very few of the readers converted to become an author and contributor.
Tim Weber hat auf einem Panel zur Relevanzdebatte in Wikipedia beim 26. Communication-Kongress 2009.
In a previous talk at a 3C, there were one of the interesting aspects was that missing vowels from texts do make the text less well readable, but it is still readable. And Wikipedia's approach makes it possible to get unbiased information through this principle.
Das Bild von Tanebreis wurde von den beiden Autoren Beek 100 eingefügt und von Lumo aktuell untertitelt.
This photo was added by two contributors, and according to Professor some name, nobody, they did not know what this picture was about and why was this picture chosen specifically. And my suspicion is that the photo was used because it was the first one that was found that was licensed appropriately. And this is an important thing to remember
Ein Glücksfall, der
when it comes to the quality of Wikipedia.
Wikipedia-Seite über sich selbst editiert, weil ihm einiges daran nicht gefiel.
Umberto Eco started editing the Italian version of Wikipedia about himself because he was unhappy with the quality of the information presented there.
Zur Person Walter Höllerer darstellen. Den Caso Umberto Eco werde ich jetzt nicht weiter darstellen, leider.
I don't have time to go into the case of Umberto Eco.
In den Edits 88, 89 und 90
the edits 88, 89 and 90, the three authors have started a discussion about the group 47. It would have been better if they had started discussing that in the article, but would have just added a link to the Group 47 page.
Die Abbildung zeigt Ähnlichkeiten zwischen enzyklopädischer Textsyntax und Datenbanksyntax.
This shows the similarity between database syntax and text syntax.
Angezeigt. Sie sind ausschlaggebend für die maschinelle Datenverarbeitung. Im Text mit Anhang werden zuoberst die Unstruktur.
So in a database setup, the structure of the text is only, or the text is only part of the entire structure, where a text with attachments is much more amenable to the way humans process information. So to judge the quality of the Walter Höllerer article, the quality of the users, the qualities of the authors is the center of my work, and the quality of expert contributions are also very important. So we have these three qualities that contribute to the quality of the article. So I was able to distinguish between experts about publishing, about writing, and about the content matter. I could identify those three types of editors. I could not identify classical editorial roles as the classical roles do not work in this article. The knowledge that has culminated in this article was spread out over the 89 authors that contributed to this article.
Das ist jetzt sozusagen das Ende meiner
That is the end of my presentation about my thesis. This is this shows the various screen sizes that are available, and trying to write a Wikipedia article to fit well for Wikipedia. There were 6 bots that edited the article. I found that the bots actually did very valuable contributions that helped the structure and the linking. They did not make edits of the content itself.
Walter Höllerer in Wikidata. Wikidata, die Semantik.
So there's also an article about Walter Höllerer in Wikidata.
In Wikidata machen Bots die meiste Arbeit.
And in Wikidata, bots do most of the work.
Wieder von vorne beginnt. Der Wikidata-Artikel über Walter Höllerer ist seit
The Wikidata article about Walter Höllerer has been online since 2012. So,
hier geht's weiter. Ihr könnt die Dissertation und
so if you like to learn more, you can look at this URL, and you can also download and read my thesis.
Vielen herzlichen Dank. Da wir aufgrund der Translatoren ein bisschen spät angefangen haben, 1 bis 2 Fragen lasse ich zu, wenn es schnelle und kurze sind. Haben wir was? Ist das Internet schon munter geworden? Haben wir Fragen aus dem Internet? Keine Fragen aus dem Internet. Jemand bei den Mikrofonen?
There's no questions from the internet. Anybody on the microphones? No questions. All right. No questions. Do I still have time then? Oh, I'm sorry. No, sorry.
Dann sage ich vielen herzlichen Dank.
Thank you so much to Frida Bronham for this interesting talk on